Hi, my name is Brian Cordes. I'm head of client partnerships at DirecTV, and I'm here with Charisse Hughes, SVP, Chief Growth Officer at Kellanova. How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Kellanova? I know it's big news, new news. Tell us a little bit about what Kellanova is.
So on October 2nd, the company that you know as Kellogg, a 117-year-old company, became Kellanova and WK Kellogg Co. And the two companies split into two. And Kellanova is the largest and fastest growing business, which is a snacking-led business. And it is made up of brands like Pringles, like Cheez-It, like Rice Krispie Treats and Pop-Tarts and RX Bar. And Kellanova is, if you think about the name, it is Kellogg, which harkens back to our heritage of Kellogg, as well as Nova, which is Latin for new. And so the two together reinforce the legacy and the newness of Kellanova. We have a vision to be the best performing snacking-led powerhouse. And I'm really excited to take up that mantle. And WKKC, or WK Kellogg Co., is our North America cereal business. And so that includes brands that you know and love, like Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops and Corn Flakes.
Awesome. All brands are near and dear to our heart. My kids go to school with Cheez-Its every day. RX bars are in my house right now.
Very good.
Yes, we're a customer as well. So it's a busy week in New York, Ad Week here in New York. What are you looking forward to learning about most this week?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learn how companies and brands are organizing around generative AI. And the reason I say that is because over the last few years, my company has been focused on predictive AI and how we leverage our data to make better suggestions, predictions, et cetera. And so now with generative AI, like how should we be organizing? We've started to build all these wonderful use cases and demonstrate business results and performance. We're starting to break down silos across the organization, but I don't know now what's the next step. So is it just more testing, learning, iterating? How do I kind of, bring the organization together? Should I be starting over? So just lots of questions from a standpoint of like, how do I go after it? And how do I organize the company to really benefit from what we know will come from generative AI?
Great. Well, I feel like you've come to the right place with a lot of talk of AI this week, certainly the buzzword on everyone's lips. I think that we understand the power of it through ChatGPT. We can hold it in our hand and see, how it's the power of it and how it's going to change our lives, certainly in the future. Is Kellanova embracing this technology today? I know you mentioned from a supply chain perspective, or how are you using it today, and how are you looking to learn to use it in the future?
Sure. So today we are a bit more siloed. So from a domain standpoint or a functional standpoint, we're leveraging predictive AI in marketing, whether it be serving the right creative to the right customer based upon their affinities and their media consumption habits, or using it in RGM, which is all revenue growth management, and how we make sure that, our portfolio is made up of the right assortment to maximize our sales and profit. We're using it in our supply chain to build productivity. So there is this thing called digital twinning, where you construct a digital model of your supply facility, and then you can run iterations to get better at the product, identify where there might be breakages or bottlenecks in your processes, and you can eliminate those. So we're using it sort of end to end, but it's in these different silos versus thinking like holistically across the business and how we might tackle one specific use case around getting, the right products on shelf, and then if they're not on shelf, what the implications are to our media spend, or what the implications are to our raw materials, or the like. So I think, I'd love to see us be looking more holistically as an organization and thinking about it across the entire sort of operation.
Gotcha. So at DirecTV, obviously TV is very important to us, front and center, top of mind, whether it be streaming or CTV or linear TV. What are you watching on TV these days? And more importantly, and specific to this, is how are you watching your TV?
Great question. I am watching the morning show.
Me too.
Okay.
New season. How are you watching your TV? So you're streaming through Apple TV.
I am streaming through Apple TV.
How else are you getting to your content that you love?
Well, it depends on the content. So I do enjoy football. So on Sundays, I have to watch in the ways that, TV football is programmed. So I'll watch, Amazon for the content that they're doing, as well as, regular TV. But I would say that I am watching less linear TV for sure. And that most of my content is through streaming.
Yeah.
And my children are 18 years old. They're freshmen in college. We have 18-year-old twins. And they never, ever watch a TV, like a physical TV. They are either watching on their laptops or on their phones. And it's all streamed content. So it is an indication to me on, we know it all intuitively, but when you have and you're observing behaviors that happen in your own home, it sort of makes it more real. So we are, as an organization, Kellanova, really have been accelerating our investment and prioritization of CTV, as you know.
Yeah.
Because we want to be where the consumers are and where the eyeballs are.
No, of course. And I think that's something obviously we're investing heavily in as well, and moving with the evolving viewers. And the other thing we're seeing though is that with consumers moving this way of, SVOD, right? So many viewers are streaming, but so many of those viewers are not seeing ads while streaming, right? So from a consumer perspective, that obviously makes it, even more complicated to get that scale that you're looking for, right? Yeah. So I think that we've seen a lot of evolution over the past few years from a measurement, from a data perspective. Another buzzword this week certainly is going to be things like MTA and clean rooms. How first-party data has traditionally been a pain point for CPGs. Can you talk a little bit about how you're leveraging data to reach consumers on the front end? And then part two would be kind of the back end question of how you're measuring.
Sure. So we historically have been at the forefront of first-party data. So I think over 10 years ago, we had a loyalty program called Kellogg Family Rewards, and that has since evolved into our thinking differently about first-party data. Not that it's not important, but the ways that we want to engage consumers to acquire their data. So much more about using the brands as the center of gravity in those conversations, because that's the way that we create relationships and build connection. And so not about loyalty, because we know consumers are, they're promiscuous. They're experimenting with a variety of different platforms and brands and the like, but we do want to engage them. And so we've been incredibly successful with asking consumers to share their data with us based upon a value proposition. That value proposition could be an offer. It could be an opportunity to get a year's free of Pringles, or, entered into a sweepstakes, or anything like that. That's been successful for us. And in fact, we've acquired, 4 to 5 times more data than we would have through a traditional loyalty program.
What type of data are you asking for in that scenario?
So in the simplest terms, we're able to get email, name and address information, which is essentially what we need, right?
Totally.
And then we're enriching that data. So we're definitely, augmenting that data and enriching that data with second and third party. We're using clean rooms as well to get better attribution. But we don't have an MTA yet. That is something that we've explored and we'll figure out if it's right for us. Quite a lot of our understanding on how consumers are navigating is through lift studies. We also have an MMM, and that helps to guide us in terms of the channels that are most effective. But then we also don't want to be constrained by our MMM. because we know that, the consumer's everywhere and we want to be experimental and testing and learning along the way. So
Gotcha.
that's really our approach, and especially in this world that we're in where the technology is so ahead of us, and we're meeting new partners every day that can help us connect better with consumers. So we want to make sure that we are fluid, but using the best data that we have.
Wonderful. Little off, different topic, more about you. Obviously, you've had a tremendous career. So for anyone listening out there, what's the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice that I have received is to advocate for yourself. And I think, that can be a tricky one because you could, if you're an introvert, you may not be the squeaky wheel. But remembering that you bring something to the party, that your voice and your contributions matter, and that in your own way, you can be your own best advocate.
Very good. So what's something that you learned recently that surprised or inspired you?
Well, I was inspired by what I learned to be, what I knew and what I learned. So I know that creative and emotional connection and creative is kind of the way that we connect, and the way that we can really tap into and engage consumers longer term. But I was reminded of that through some testing that we did with a partner that is evaluating our video effectiveness. And we learned that human emotion and connection in the first 3 seconds of a video ad can drive an uptick of almost 35% in our click-through rates. And it just restored my faith in creative and my belief in creative and sort of what got me into marketing. So it's not just the logic, it's also the magic.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Charisse, for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time, and talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.